Alright guys, welcome back. So in the last tutorial we took a sample query and we generated index of the nearest neighbors to it, and then from there we generated embedding, and then we generated the text for those nearest neighbors. So yeah, that's where we finished last time. We already also had our deployed index as well, and the next thing that we're going to do now is we're going to provide our query and also the nearest neighbors to the Gemini, and then from there we're going to generate the actual response as to let's say if we want to get an answer for our question, then in that case we can get that from Gemini based on the context that we're going to provide. So one of the first thing we're going to do actually is we are going to write the code for how do you use Gemini. So for that I've provided these two as resources that you guys can read if you want to. And basically it's a official documentation of how you can generate code and chat responses for using Gemini and some of the generative models that Vertex AI provides. So this is a document. Basically you just import Vertex AI, then initialize it based on your location, then from there you go ahead and initialize the model and then start the chat part. In the chat part, basically you just need to give the chat session, and then you just need to provide the prompt. I believe chat session is something we're going to, I believe, yeah, it's going to be provided from here, from what we import, so we don't have to do much in there as well. But yeah, chat session is basically is going to be the same part. As you can see, this would be the chat, and then you can provide the prompt, and then you can go ahead and generate chat responses from here. So basically the way in which this thing works, it sends a message as a prompt to this thing, and then from there it goes ahead and gets those chunks, and then you get the response basically. That's how you get the whole response. So it's a really simple function. Again, I've just copied most of the things from this official documentation, and you don't need to do much edit work here as well. Just copy the code and it should be good to go. The other documentation I provided is the list of all the Gemini models that you guys can use. So these are different. These are the latest versions that are available so far as of now, obviously. And yeah, this is how you can go ahead and use it. I believe Vertex AI may also provide some other stuff, like some other generative models, like some image and some audio and stuff. I'm not sure about that, but right now we're just going to use Gemini in our in our tutorial. So let's start with this thing. The first thing, I'm just gonna copy most of the code that we guys saw that we saw in the previous page. So yeah, just using the same functions, just initializing Vertex AI and model and the chat, and that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna run this part. So we're going to do three different types of responses here. First, first response would be the response in which we're not going to provide any context. So this would be just a traditional, response from the traditional, like you could say a generative AI or Gemini response. So basically it would be the same response as you opening generative AI in some UI, you opening Gemini in some UI and just interacting with it. It's just a simple chatbot. So the response here in this case would be based on the internal knowledge of Gemini. It would not be from the context that we're going to provide. Obviously we're not going to provide the context, right? So it would not be, so the prompt would be the same as our query, which was about that cinnamon question. We're just going to give it to this. So yeah, here we're not providing any context, so obviously we're going to get a response based on the internal knowledge of Gemini. So as you can see, it's gonna take a little bit of time because it's going to generate, this is a whole list of things. I don't want to read them, obviously. The next part we're going to do is we're going to specify, we're going to give the context. So basically we're going to give this query text, which would be our question, and we're going to say in the context of, and then we're going to give those neighbors, which would be a list, right? So yeah, we're going to give these things. As you can note here, although we're saying that give the answer in this context, but we're not saying that don't use any of your internal knowledge, right? Or we're not specifying that only from this context. So in this case, maybe some of the component or some of the response that we get might be from the internal knowledge, but who knows. But this is just going to be a response in which we're just going to say, okay, this is the context and give me the answer. As you can see, some of these things are very similar. Yeah, as you can see, this is the case. Now if I go ahead and just say that answer only from the following context. In this case, I believe maybe the answer would be, a little bit different. Let's just see. As you can see, like, yeah, the answer was different. So that's how it works. Yeah, so we just did a little bit of prompt engineering, and we got this thing. So yeah, this is pretty much it. I think with this we finished the whole RAG system. As you guys can see here, I have created a whole table of context for you guys to easily follow along. We started with the setup part, where then we divided our whole text into chunks, and then we converted them to embeddings. So we stored them into vector search, and then we performed a similarity search. We gave those results to Gemini to give us the response, and yeah, this is the final response, and this is how we got it. So but with this, obviously we finished the whole RAG part, but I'm still gonna make one more tutorial after this, in which we are going to basically clean up our whole environment. So basically it would be a cleanup of everything that we created in our GCP environment. Reason being, basically if you leave this like this, then it's gonna incur cost for you guys, and obviously we don't want to do that. So we're going to delete most of the stuff here that we created here. So we're going to go to each of those services, and we would delete them manually, and I can also show you guys code in which we can delete them as well. So yeah, with this we come to the end of this tutorial. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much.